Congressman Pat Fallon of Texas joins us right now. The Republican sits on the House Oversight and Reform Committees and many more. Congressman, first off, you're getting word, sir, I'm sure, that the president is going to address the nation tonight on gun issues and what have you. What do you want to hear out of him?
Well, I'd like to hear some bipartisan ideas and have him saying to the American people that we're going to work with Republicans. We're going to do not a Republican thing or a Democratic thing, but we're going to do the American thing. And that would be refreshing. I doubt that we're going to hear that because, unfortunately, over the last year and a half, we've seen Mr. Biden really just take a left turn after a left turn. So I'm unfortunately just expecting another partisan speech. All
right. Well, he could surprise us. And Republicans seem to offer surprising, compromises of their own. I don't know whether you agree with some of your colleagues who are toying with the idea of tighter background checks, maybe limiting guns to those under the age of 21 years or over, not underneath that. Are you open to either of those?
Well, yeah, you know what, Neil, let's talk about a few things that are interesting. Over the last 50 years, the amount of guns in civilian hands in the United States has doubled. But over those 50 years, the violent crime rates and murder rates have gone down. So clearly, there's not a direct correlation. In fact, that would belie the points of some of my colleagues. What I'd like to see, we're talking about this because of Uvalde. So what I'd like to see is the two parties coming together to make our children safer. And there are a lot of commonsensical things we can do to achieve that goal.
All right. Is one of them making sure that someone like the Texas school shooter doesn't get his hands on a gun in the future, that there are some for whom background tests or tighter requirements are such that they would make that difficult, and maybe extend that to anyone under 21?
Yeah, well, 2 points there, Neil. I mean, it's hard sometimes when you have somebody that is mentally ill and has mental illness, but they haven't done anything or committed any crimes. It's really hard to, to expose them.
No, you're right about that. Part of that reason, Congress, it's still too early. We don't know, to your fine point, that some youthful indiscretions, maybe because they occur when you're a youth, we tend to let them pass to pop up on a permanent report because it will drag them for the rest of their lives. But should we reconsider that? Should we have areas of violence or things that occur when someone is a teenager or even younger be in a report somewhere that a gun seller could have access to when you're applying to get a gun?
Well, this is really nothing new. I mean, convicted felons aren't allowed to own firearms. And I think that's a very good idea because they violated their pact with, they violated their social contract to an egregious degree. But to your point in your question, Neil, about 21-year-olds or 18-year-olds rather, 18 to 21 being able to own a firearm, they can in Texas as long as it's a long rifle. But the Democrats are very inconsistent here. They say that the age of consent is 18, but not for alcohol and not for tobacco and now not for firearms, but they'll still allow them to vote. So if we want to have a serious discussion, let's repeal the 26th Amendment, exempt active duty military, and make the age of consent 21, and you cannot vote until 21 as well. I would support that if we moved everything up to 21.
Would that include those joining the military, push it up to 21?
No, that's what I'm saying. There would be an exemption. Okay. Anybody that's active duty military would have the franchise.
I'm sorry.
And be able to own a firearm.
Got it. Congressman, thank you very, very much. Looks like in between there's some room for progress here, so we shall see, Congressman. Thank you for joining us. Pat Fallon, the state of
Thanks, Neil.
Texas here.